I thought we'd do today is to talk one about remote viewing. I'll just do like a brief um, background and kind of what it is. We won't really do anything today, but what we're going to do, with your permission, is maybe do a guided meditation where we try to remote view or we try to sense the coming year. And we'll talk about a little bit how to do that. So if you have a pen and a piece of paper handy, that would be great because you might want to write down some of the things you get. Hey, Danny, get some of the things that you get when you come out of the meditation. So, Charlie, you got your pendulum there?
Yeah.
Nice.
How did you know?
I can see it. I can
Oh,
see it.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm psychic, Charlie. I can sense it. But no. But anyway, no. So I thought that we would do that, and so to that end, and I think Paula stepped away. We'll wait till she gets back because I have a new and dramatic slideshow for you. So hang on while I
Ah,
share my screen.
let me open that up for you.
Yes, please.
How you doing,
Participants.
Danny? Good to see you. You're on mute.
Leave video participants chat.
You're muted. Danny's. Oh, there he is.
Okay, there I am.
Good to see
Hello
you.
to everybody.
Oh,
Yeah,
hello.
good resource. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I'm looking for um oh, there we go. Got it. And then lost it. Okay, there we go.
What's the meditation again? I'm so sorry. I was 5 minutes late.
No, that's okay, Danny. We're going to talk about remote viewing. I'm kind of starting a series on remote viewing, and I thought that we would remote view the coming year, just after we talk about it a little bit. Uh, so that's the experiment for this week. So I hope you're up for it.
Good, good.
Yeah. Let's see. PowerPoint slideshow. Okay, I'm gonna share this, but I'm gonna have to. There we go. I'm gonna escape. They can see me. Slide two. All right. Here we go. And I have if this works, I have a very dramatic. Here we go. Dun dun dun. Remote viewing, viewing, viewing. See? Very dramatic.
You're not.
Anyway, so I just thought I would add a little more to my slideshows. So let's go to the next slide if we can't. Wait, stop. You're done. Let's see how we do that. I don't know why this is looking so weird. Okay, so let's go next slide. Next slide. Let's
Maybe
go.
you slept in this morning.
Did you? Good for you.
No, I said maybe your slide slipped in.
Oh, yeah, the world is coming to an end. All right, introduction. Okay, so first, before we get started, oh, there we go. Now it's working. I wanted to ask you guys, how many of you have done remote viewing? Show of hands. Anyone? No, you have. You all have. We'll talk about that. Katrina, you have? Or are you just opening your bottle of water?
I have.
Nice. Okay, so you can help me. You can help me then, where I fall off the line of remote viewing. Um, and you all have really remote viewed. Anyone who's a psychic, because you use the same battery. If you're a psychic, if you're a medium, if you just know things, you're actually remote viewing. And you can remote view in the future. You can remote view in the past. You can remote view in the present. You can remote view other planets. You can remote view just about anything. And once you get familiar with it, you'll find yourself remote viewing just about anything. Some people call remote viewing like when they're looking, they want to remote view where a parking spot is or something like that. They call that remote viewing. To me, I think it kind of cheapens the whole process. And I think that that is more of a psychic exercise. But once again, it's all, in my mind, it's all the same muscle. So, for example, if you are strengthening your legs because you want to run, You're also strengthening your legs for walking, for bicycling, for doing squats. I mean, it's the same muscle. You're strengthening it, and you get very many different outcomes from doing those exercises. It's the same with remote viewing, because when you use remote viewing, when you do remote viewing, you're using all of your senses. So you're using your knowing, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, your ability to hear, your ability to smell, feel. All of those things come into view when you do a remote viewing session. And quite frankly, I think that remote viewing is pretty misnamed. And Katrina, you might agree with me. You're not really seeing as much as you are sensing. So it almost should be called remote sensing, in my mind. And so we're going to talk about that. And I'm excited to work with all of you because you all are psychic. So I think it's going to be really easy for you just to step into this. And quite frankly, I think there's a lot of mystique around remote viewing that doesn't need to be there, because it really is something that we all have. We all have the ability to remote view, just like we all have the ability to read. It's just, how do we interpret that? So we all have the ability to read, and most of us read English very well, but if we had to read Italian or Portuguese, we would still be reading, but we wouldn't know what we were reading. And I think that's a good analogy with remote viewing. We sense and we feel things, we just don't quite know how to put them together until we learn how to remote view, and then we kind of get a full picture of what we're seeing, or that at least is the goal. So here's one definition of remote viewing. It's the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen subject, purportedly sensing with the mind. And the purportedly is not that you can't do it. The purportedly is they really don't know how you do it. So, again, it's all of those senses that come into play. Your hearing, your sight, your feeling, your sense of knowing, those all come into play. Nobody really knows how it works. I think that we are all tapped into that collective consciousness. And what we have to do is just find the right thread in that big collective consciousness for where we're going or what we're looking at. And once we tap into that thread, we can actually go follow that thread to the place, and then begin to feel into what's going on there, or sense what's going on there. So that's really how I think it works. And since we are all connected, it strengthens that connection, which strengthens our psychic powers, which does nothing but improve our life. So I really think that remote viewing is something that everyone should learn. So the history of remote viewing, really briefly, it didn't really come into being till around the 70s. And it came into being as a military application. Back in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, the US learned or heard that Russia was using psychic spies to look at some of our military sites. So we decided that we needed to do that too. And they developed a small unit with people like Ingo Swann, Joe McMoneagle, Angela Ford, Lynn Buchanan, and Harold Puthoff in this unit, who actually got together and tried to view, and had much success viewing sites that were classified. There's one whose name isn't here. It's Pat Price. Pat Price used to actually be able to view into closed cabinets and read documents in folders. I mean, which to me is like, if he can do it, I can do it. I haven't done it yet, but if he can do it, we all can do it. So what they did was they developed how to remote view, and Ingo Swann was especially central to the development of the process. And some people use the process, some people use another process, some people don't use anything. Up to you how you want to do it. But the one thing that the process does is it gets your conscious mind out of the way and allows you to communicate directly with your subconscious. Because your conscious mind is busy trying to figure out where the words go that you're getting, and what order things should be in, and where things should be, because that's the process that you're taught. And that keeps the left brain, which is the more functional administrative brain, busy, while the right brain, which is part of the subconscious, then is allowed to travel freely, go out to the site, and then report back. So that's essentially how I understand the processes of remote viewing and why they exist. I actually learned down in the Monroe Institute with Joe McMoneagle, who is one of the first ones, or one of the most successful and well-known remote viewers from the military days. And Joe didn't teach us anything other than the Gestalt, which we'll get into during the next session. But he very much doesn't use any structure whatsoever. He just goes there, writes down what's happening, and calls it a day. And he's usually accurate. We don't strive for 100% accuracy for remote viewing. It's usually 80%, because just like anything else, just like when you're playing telephone as a kid, the message can get a little bit garbled as you try to interpret it through your mind, and then bring it back forward. I've also studied with Angela Ford, who is also in that first group of military folks. And, they all have such an incredibly easy way of just, don't overthink it, just do it. You could do this. And then the Stargate project was put together by, I think, civilians. I think it was SRI did the Stargate project. And they were a think tank led by Russell Targ and Lynn Buchanan, I think, and various others who created the Stargate project to actually study remote viewing. And it kind of removed remote viewing then from the military into the civilian world. So that's a brief history of remote viewing. How does it work? We kind of answered this question. No one really knows. It's almost like asking yourself, how do I see? I know that my eyes pick up light, translate that light into something upside down, and then retranslate it. I mean, it very much is like how we see it. Just is something that we're able to do. We don't necessarily need to explain it. But the process is basically just to quiet your mind like you do in a meditation. You don't have to be totally quiet. But one of the things that I learned to do was to quiet my mind, take a few breaths. And what I do is I imagine, any of you who are as old as me remember the old theaters where they had the red curtains that they used to draw back, and then the picture would come up on the screen on the stage, very beautiful. That's what I image in my mind. I tell myself that when those curtains pull back, I'm going to see characteristics of whatever thing, person, place I'm viewing. And you'll find something like that yourself that really just sets your mind and tells your subconscious, we're going to go here and I want to see this. So we'll talk about that during meditation. And just set your intention. Now, one thing that everybody does, whether they use a procedure or process or whether they just psychically view, there is something called front loading, where you have information about the target. Like if we do missing people, the front loading would be, this is a missing person who was last seen in Pine Bluff, South Dakota, something like that. And that's about all the front loading you're going to get. And it gives you just a little bit of focus. Because if we were to say this is just a missing person, then there's missing people everywhere, but we want the missing person who was last seen on the state in Pine Bluff. So that gives us a focus, but we want as little front loading as possible, because once your left brain hears the front loading, all of a sudden it's a version of Dateline ID. When you're looking for missing people, it's always like, oh, I know what happened. They were stabbed with a fork and no, and you can't do that. You have to wait and see what you find. So what we use is they're called coordinate numbers. And it's usually some combination of numbers, including the date, that don't mean anything other than the site that we're looking for. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's pretty much universal. If you do any studying about remote viewing, target numbers are going to be what we're looking at. And then we do some cool things with the target numbers. Like at the Monroe Institute, at one point, we were given target numbers and we remote viewed the target. We wrote it down. And then we were told to give our target number to the person next to us and pick up the target number coming into us, which was a wholly different location. Each target number had a different location. And it was so interesting. I was in the back of the room, so there was somebody sitting in the way back who brought me their target number. So I changed that target number 3 times from the first one I had, and I was still able to get pieces of the site on the third target number. So it's so interesting the way your mind actually goes into the future. It travels and knows what you're supposed to be looking at. I know it sounds crazy, but it's something that we can all do. So we talked about some of the applications of remote viewing, military and intelligence work, of course, Stargate project for espionage. None of us are going to do that, or nor would we want to. Personal development, I don't like to remote view myself because I think I'm pretty biased, but what you can do is remote view a business, remote view, what am I going to be studying in 6 months? Where am I going to be working in 2 years? You might be able to do that, just as a matter of if everything stays the same in 2 years, this is where I'll be, and wait 2 years to see if you're right. Enhancing intuition and psychic abilities. We've already talked about that, and to me, that really is the biggest benefit, because it's the more we open ourselves to these kind of things, the more we realize just how truly magical we are. I think the easier life gets. And then if you have a business, you can remote view your business, like we talked about remote viewing yourself, remote view your business. If we make this change, how are we going to look in 6 months? And then you just remote view that specific time period and your business. There are ways to remote view winning horses, and people do it and they make a lot of money. Some people remote view the stock market. And there's different ways of doing that. It's not something I've ever dabbled in, quite frankly, just because I lack the time, and I just love to go different places. So, maybe at some point, and there's a way of doing that where you're not directly viewing the stock market, but what you do is you set up 2 different remote viewing pictures. It's called, I think it's called ARV. So you remote view 2 different photos. One represents the stock market increasing on this date, and one represents the stock market decreasing on this date. And you can put other parameters on it, and I'm sure Charlie would have something to say about those. But what you do is then you don't know what these photos are. You don't even know what they represent. And someone gives you a number and says, someone with the idea that they want to know when the stock market, if it's going to go up or down on that day, will give you the number, and then have your remote view, and whatever picture you're closest to, yes or no, would be the answer to the question about the stock market. So it's a little bit more confusing. You need 2 to 3 people to do that, but it is fun if you can manage it. It might be something that we mess with later on. Controlled remote viewing, that's what I was talking about. This process is called controlled remote viewing, and it is a structured approach. There's all kinds of practical exercises and target pools on the net, and I can share those with you when we get to that point. There are also intuitivespecialist.com. That's Lori, I can't think of her last name, but she has a site where she calls it a master class. And it's like a 3 or 4 hour class on remote viewing that she offers for free, so that you then go ahead and sign up for her other classes. But it gives you a pretty good idea of what you're doing, and you can do it on your own at your own speed. So if that's something you're interested in, maybe the next class we can talk about that. Lori Williams is her name, I think. But so there's lots of resources online, so you don't really even have to pay for remote viewing. And there's many instructors online. And I'm lucky enough to work with a woman who loves to research, and she pulls the best from each individual instructor. And we're kind of coming up with our own way to remote view, our own structure to remote view, one that works for us. And like I said, we're using it to remote view missing and endangered Indigenous people, or others, but they're mostly Indigenous people. So we work with a group of people who does that. But that's just one application and one way to do it. But there's so much to learn if it's something that you're interested in. So A lot of skepticism about remote viewing. Of course, there's always somebody who wants to rain on your parade. And what the skeptics say is that there's a lack of empirical evidence about this, and you can't repeat it. Well, to answer that, I mean, sure, there's a lack of empirical evidence, but when you get six people in a room and they all come up with pretty much the same thing, are they reading each other's minds? Are they remote viewing? There's always, that question.
I bumped your number.
So
So my mom
addressing
last night.
skepticism, my thing about addressing skepticism is I don't have to prove anything to you. I mean, I like to do remote viewing. It makes me feel good. I get to help people with it. I get to develop psychically. You don't want to believe it, you're missing out. And then personal experiences and anecdotal evidence. For the most part, I do more practice than I do actual targets. But the practices have been bang on. And with the actual targets, there's a group of us who have done cold cases too. We were working with a guy who used to be I think it was NYPD, and he had cold cases that he wanted us to take a look at. And there were a couple of times where he said, "You guys are there. We know you're there." He didn't like. I came up with a perpetrator who didn't fit who they were looking for, but it was a cold case, so why not look at the new guy? But they thought that was wrong. But the thing about it is, if you get like mediumship, like anything else, you get what you get. You don't judge it, and you wouldn't have got it if it wasn't important. And every time you get it, you just learn more and more. So, Katrina, how am I doing so far? Okay, she agrees with me. That's good.
Really good, good.
Thanks, Danny. Do you have your remote view, Dan?
No, I don't. So this is very fascinating. I mean, I'm
Okay.
sure I do because everybody does, but this is really fascinating, Terry.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's see. So we talked about remote viewing. We talked about the applications of remote viewing. Again, final thoughts are this is a hobby that can help you in so many ways. And it really builds your confidence psychically. I think it can help you stay, for those of us who are getting up in years, I mean, I think it can help you exercise your brain in ways that you might not normally. And you could do it by yourself, although it's fun when you practice with others. And for those who are so inclined, there's me and a couple other ladies who get together like once a week and we do a remote viewing. When we're done with the course a little bit, if you feel like you want to join us and just remote view for fun, that's great. Then that's where we get some of the missing people that we look for. Additionally, I've done a trial. There was a foundation that was starting up, a psychic foundation in California, of course, that wanted to do a remote viewing trial, and they wanted to do a proof of process. In other words, does remote viewing actually exist? And so for 6 weeks, we remote viewed targets and they compiled data. I haven't seen the report, but the preliminary indication is that we were successful. Me and probably 10 other people were successful in proving that remote viewing exists. So it's just a fun thing to do. And then the potential for remote viewing, again, not only the personal benefits, but I think if enough people remote view a good outcome, we're going to bring that outcome together. So if we remote view the future, when you get good, I don't think it's great at this point to remote view like Mars, for example, because we can't really prove it. And it's more important, I think, as a beginner or as someone who is wanting to improve their skill to get feedback, immediate feedback, like this is the photo you were looking at. Here's the things you got, rather than to like go off in the sky and do Mars. I'm not telling you not to, but I think until you get a solid foundation for reviewing and have some success, build your confidence, then I think we can remote view the stars. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? That's just about my lecture for today. We're not under attack. I don't know if you heard my dogs. My daughter just came in.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say, with remote viewing, we do it in so many different ways and don't even realize that you can call it that. Like when I do, like, say, healing, and we're doing like inner child healing, and we're going back to where something happened. And we mix Reiki with a lot of that to try and move energy. And we're going back to this time, and you're with the person that you talk down, and you can actually see things. And you know what I mean? And we're talking about this point in time. It's kind of a remote view here, right? To what was going on. So we can see what's happening. So we can kind of, I don't want to get into all that stuff, but I find this so fascinating. And it's times where you don't even know that you're doing it, but you're like, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I've done that, or whatever. It's just, like you said, you can't prove it, but you know what you see and you know what you feel. And the more you do it, it does definitely build your confidence. So I'm so excited to do this with you today.
Oh, good. Oh, great. Well, today, like I say, today we're just going to do kind of an overview. And what I want to do in the meditation is just to get us to open up a little bit. So we're going to open up those centers that we would use. And then we'll look into the future. So does anybody else have anything?
I was just going to make the comment that I think so much of what we allow in is predicated on story and dogma and all of the judgment that we've been under. And it's like the confidence is really tough to believe sometimes. Because when I'm trying to practice my psychic ability or mediumship or whatever, I feel like I'm questioning myself. Is like, is that real? Is that me? It's like this constant chatter. So I'd love to get more validation, more feedback. I love that you insist on the feedback, because to me that helps build the confidence that things are actually going in the right direction.
Exactly. And the chatter is, to me, we've all had that. All of us who've been, budding mediums, budding psychics, whatever, we've all had that. Is it me? Is it live? Is it Memorex? I don't even know. But that is just a way our ego mind is saying, you know what, you could look stupid. If you continue to do this, you might look stupid. If you continue to do this, people are going to laugh at you. And we all have past lives where we were probably burned at the stake. I mean, there is so much at stake here. So the thing to do right now is to make the decision that I'm not going to listen to that. If I get it, it's real. If it's not, okay, we'll move on. But I got it, and I'm going to report it. And so that is something that has helped me, and I'm sure Paula will agree. As a medium, you can't ask yourself, is it me? Is it them? Because at some point you have to really trust in your higher self, in your spirit guides. They're not going to let you look stupid. They know that your intent is to help and to develop. And so as long as you stay within those parameters of your higher self, as long as your intentions are pure, and I don't doubt that anyone's here are for anything other than the highest and best for everyone involved, then there's nothing to worry about. And the ego just needs to move over. Yeah. And some of remote viewing might help you with that, because you have to do the process. You don't have to, but I will show you the process after we do a few remote viewings without it. So that's a great question. I love that, because I think everybody has been there. How has anybody else dealt with that?
Yeah, Terrie, I'd like to make a comment, even though we're looking at going into the future, which is omnipresent anyway.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit about the past, because, Arnold Michael is relationship and mystical experience with a pine tree kind of set the tone for our ministry. And then people like Virginia Scene, who very intuitive, has written like 22 books, 23 books as part of our ministry. And then we also have Margarita Felix in Mexico, who is tremendously clairvoyant, clairaudient, and was part of our ministry. And then we also had part of our ministry a Russian who was a noted healer, and he worked with the cosmonauts when they came back from the moon or whatever, and to replenish energy. And then we had so many people like Vernon Wolfe, who taught us holodynamics and how to go into the past, present, and future. Then uh, we've just had so many people in our background. And of course, you, Terrie, have certainly made your contribution. And Danny certainly has had inner experiences that have caused him to work tirelessly on a project that has to do with water, etc. So what I'm saying is, historically, we have attracted a lot of interesting people, have trusted their psychic abilities, whatever you want to call them, and whether you call it remote viewing or, and I believe, and you showed us how to use a pendulum, and I've been using that in investments. So it's fun. So thank you for your work and teaching us to move forward. You're muted, Terrie.
Again, I always say my best stuff muted, but that's very kind, Charlie. Thank you so much. I enjoy, sharing, because to me, this is who we are. This is our essence. This is, until they told us we couldn't do it, we could, and we can again. So yeah, thank you, Charlie. Anybody else got anything? Okay, let me stop the share. And I got you all. Oh, hey, Laura, I didn't see you earlier. Okay, so everybody find yourself sitting in your chair comfortably. And while you're sitting there, just kind of clear your mind as best you can and breathe in. And now breathe out. And as you breathe out, allow the tension to flow out of your body and allow yourself to just relax into the chair or whatever you're sitting in. Feel it on your bottom and your legs. Okay. And now just breathe in. And as you breathe in, imagine this beautiful gold and silver sparkly energy that just surrounds you in a spiral, clockwise spiral surrounding you. And as you breathe out, release more tension, more tension. And now allow this clockwise spiraling energy to enter your body through the top of your head. And as it does, it takes your crown chakra and it adjusts it, it conditions it, it clears it, it cleanses it, and it opens up all those dormant parts of your crown chakra that allow you to know things. This is where the seed of knowing resides. This is where you know things before you see things, before other people know things. You know things, and you always have. Now allow this beautiful energy to dust those pieces of your knowing off so that they're sharp and clear and strong, and so that you can understand what the knowing is. And now allow that wonderfully spiraling golden and silver energy to enter into your pineal gland. And as it enters into your pineal gland, it opens up your third eye. And in your third eye is where you see things. You see things that have happened in the past. You see things that could happen in the future. You see places that you've never been. And you can all do this through your third eye, your pineal gland, and your third eye chakra. And so allow that wonderful golden energy to cleanse and clear. If there's any calcification or anything that doesn't belong in your pineal gland, it's now being just dusted away so that your pineal gland can see clearly and interpret clearly the things that you see. And intend now for your pineal gland to see things that will be beneficial to you and to those around you for the highest and the best good of all. And allow your pineal gland to see those things that will you will experience as peaceful, as helpful. And now allow that energy to keep swirling. It's swirling in your head chakra, your pineal gland. And now bring it down to your ears. It is just kind of swirling around your ears, going in your ears, mixing with the energy that's at your pineal gland, all this wonderful golden swirling, and allow that energy to cleanse and clear any blockages to your clear hearing. And this doesn't need to be hearing like someone talking to you like I am. This could be hearing a voice inside your head, your higher self speaking to you, spirit speaking to you, so that you can hear and interpret whatever is being said to you in a way that is beneficial and clear and helpful to everyone involved. And allow this energy just to swirl around your head. Just imagine it cleansing and clearing and just driving before it any negativity down to the very molecular atomic level. Every cell, every fiber, every inch of your being in terms of your head is now cleansed and cleared. And allow that brain. We don't really know how the brain operates, but let's cleanse and clear that brain. Let's remove any blockages that could keep us from interpreting what we're seeing and hearing and feeling in the appropriate manner. And let's give it a minute, because there's a lot of crinkles and crevices in that brain. Let's give it a minute to cleanse and clear and get in there. And it's done. And so it is. And now we allow that energy to come into our throat chakra. And you can just feel your throat just lightening up with all of this energy that's cleansing and clearing all of the structures in your throat, but also the chakra, the throat chakra, so that what you speak is what you see. What you speak is only helpful and beneficial. What you get and what you speak from spirit will come out clear and crisp and sharp without any tags or hidden meanings. It's going to be direct conversation. And now let's allow that knowing that's in your top chakra to connect with your heart. The heart is really the seat of knowing and sentience, feeling. And so let's allow those two chakras to connect together, and the wonderful golden silver energy is going to enter into the heart, all of the chambers, all of the muscles, all of the fibers, cleansing, clearing, creating this beautiful light, the beautiful light that shines from your heart. And now it's connected with your thoughts. And so your heart and your thoughts are connected. And so anything that spirit gives you will be filtered through your heart as it comes out with love for the highest and best of all involved. And now let's allow that energy to come into your lungs. Let's clear those lungs so that the heart can work more efficiently. Let's bring that energy down into our abdomen. We need our abdomen because that's the seat of our gut. That's where we have a gut feeling. That's part of our sentience. That's part of our feeling. So we've opened up the top chakra. We've opened up our heart. And now we're going to open up our abdomen, that gut portion. And anything that lurks there, that's where a lot of people carry a lot of past stuff is in the gut. So let's just cleanse it out. Let's do bug be gone or whatever we need to do in order to get that silver and gold energy swirling in the gut freely, clearly, not only improving our communications, improving our ability to feel, but also improving our ability to take in nutrients because we're clearing out all of this dross and the dredge and the garbage that's been in our guts for all this time. We're improving our beneficial bacteria. We're feeding those with this beautiful golden silver light. We're feeding all the hormones that are developing in our gut that are sent to our brain, all of that is now communicating perfectly with each other. And so we are becoming a clear, conscious communicator for spirit, for our higher self. And now let's allow that energy to swirl around our hips, cleansing and clearing all of the energy that we carry there that we no longer need, and allow it to leave your body through your legs. And this energy travels down our legs, travels through our knees, our vehicles, kind of our vehicles of physicality, but also we can use our legs and our knees in our remote viewing as well. So now we are just enveloped in this beautiful, shimmering, golden, silver energy. And now this energy gives you a choice. You now have a choice. In order to make room for the new, each of us is carrying around some of 2024 and before that we no longer need or want. And if we ask, if we intend, the things that we no longer need or want that we are carrying around can be dissolved by this golden energy. But it's your choice. So let's take a moment and communicate with this energy, this information, and allow it to clear away everything that we don't need at this moment, everything that we don't need to carry into 2025, everything that makes us feel heavy and regretful and sad. And just take a moment. And whatever you've chosen to release, and you don't have to name it, you can allow this energy to ferret it out for you. It's now being contained in a bag and it can't escape. And it's just being sent out of your being, out of your aura. It's being sent down into the earth. And Mother Earth will just transmute this bag of stuff into more beautiful energy that we can use for 2025. And so now let's ask Mother Earth what 2025 might look, feel, sound, smell, and taste for us. Let's open up all of those senses as we allow the calendar to flip 2025. And as you see a calendar in front of you and as you see the months flipping, you may wish to ask for the month which will be the most beneficial for you. You may ask to see where the month that will be maybe the most challenging for you. You may ask to see what you should do in preparation, not only for the benefits, but for the challenges. And you will remember everything that this calendar is showing you. So just take 1 minute, flip through the calendar, and understand all that it has to offer you. And now I'd like you to move forward in time to the most beneficial month for you in 2025. Go to that month in your mind. You can part the curtains on the stage to see. You can maybe just turn around a couple of times and then be in the scene. But whatever you choose to do, send your consciousness there, your sight, your smell, your hearing, your vision, your knowing, your emotions, send them all to that point, that month. And if you can, to that date. You don't need to know what particular day it is, but if you do, that's great. And in your mind, try to figure out what's happening. In your mind, what colors are important? What feeling do you get? Are there other people there? Are you by yourself? Are you, look around you. Are you at home? Are you somewhere else? Are you in this country? Are you somewhere else in the world? And take a deep breath in. And what are the smells about this? And if you can, what do you taste in your mouth about this? Is it salty? Is it sweet? Is it chocolatey? Is it cool? Is it refreshing? How does this taste to you? And just gather whatever information you can through using all of your senses. Just take a moment and gather the information. Is there a document in front of you? Is there a newspaper in front of you? Is there TV on? How are you getting the information about what's going on? How does it feel for you? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel calming? Does it feel like a relief? Does it feel like joyful? Just note the words and the feelings. Don't try to put them together. Don't try to figure out what's going to happen. Just note everything that you can about this situation, about this activity, about this place. And then ask, why is this the most beneficial time in 2025 for me? And don't analyze the answer, just whatever comes to you. Okay, let's close the curtain on this particular time. Let's close the curtain or turn around or however you got there, let's undo it. Let's come back into our bodies. And let's just relax for a moment. Now might be a good time to write down some of the things you remember from where you just were. So take a few minutes just to jot down some notes if you wish. Okay. Now let's take another deep breath and we're going to change scenes. As we often have in the past, we're going to meet with our higher self or our guide or our spirit or our angel, however you conceptualize that higher being that helps you. Or if you haven't met them yet, you're about to meet them. So find yourself in the most beautiful place that you can imagine. It could be a church, it could be the woods, it could be the ocean, it could be a zoo with animals all around, whatever makes your heart sing. Find that place. And as you find yourself breathing in that place, what does it feel like? What does it smell like? What do you hear? What is your gut telling you about this place? Just take in everything that you can. And as you do, you see a figure in the distance. And you know this figure is your higher self. or your spirit or your guide, whatever you choose to call them. And they're coming to you because you've asked for them, one, but also because they have a message for you about 2025. And the question that you want to ask them, or that you may want to ask them, is, what can I do to make 2025 the most beneficial year for me? What can I do to prepare for all of the goodness that's going to come to me? So as they reach out and take your hand, and you can feel their energy run up your arms, this beautiful kind of exciting energy just runs up your arms and it enters into your heart. And you ask them, what can I do to make 2025? How can I prepare for 2025? And just stop for a moment and listen. And now, just ask them if there's anything else they'd like to tell you. And as you take one more deep breath, filling yourself with their energy and all of the beautiful healing energy that they've brought to you, you release your grasp. And this time they don't walk away, but they enter into you. They become a part of you. And this is symbolic of the fact that you have this guidance anytime you want it, anytime you need it. It is always with you. It is not separate from you. It is from within you. And now, take a deep breath. Find yourself back in your chair. And let's do one more thing to express our gratitude. In our minds, let's join hands. And our energy is multiplied tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. And we surround the earth with this wonderful energy. And we give anybody who wants it an opportunity to open up to the energy that we are sending. This is the energy of love, of gratitude for our life, for our breathing, for our breath, for those who love us, for those who don't love us. It's gratitude for everything. And we hold that gratitude for anyone in the world, be they politician, be they farm worker, be they businessman, be they home person, be they child, be they doctor, be they lawyer. They can open up to this energy and it will benefit them. And we send this energy with our love. And for those who don't want it now, we'll allow this energy to be in their aura until they're ready for it. And so it is. And now we drop arms. We breathe in this beautiful energy of us together, of us with the world, of our higher self, of our new awakened super senses. We breathe this in and we breathe it out with gratitude for everything that we've gotten and everything that we are yet to receive and everything that we can give and everything that we have given. And it is with this feeling of gratitude and wholeness that we find ourselves back in our chairs, back in our houses, back in our rooms. We find ourselves becoming alert and alive, but have this beautiful spiritual essence with us. And this essence will only get stronger every time we call upon it. It can never be depleted. And so we wiggle our toes and we wiggle our fingers and we stretch our arms. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back.
That was
Anybody have
amazing.
anything?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, they outdid themselves, I think, this time. But does anybody have anything they want to share?
That was a beautiful exercise, Terry. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah,
Really.
thank you. I love to take credit for it. But one thing is, did you notice how quickly they moved? It was get the sense, get the sound, get the feeling, get this. That's how quickly we do it when we remote view. We don't have time to linger, because if we linger, the left brain says, "Oh, I got this. I got this." So if we just, when we ask for a color, ask for a smell, ask for a taste, it's the first thing that hits us. And then what does that mean to us? Right? We put it all together. So, Charlie, I love your amethyst. That thing is glowing. That's what that is, right?
What's going?
Your amethyst? Is that an amethyst?
Oh, Elvis? Oh,
Your crystal.
It's
statue.
Elvis. It's Elvis
Buddha.
the
Buddha.
amethyst. Yes.
Buddha. Buddha.
Oh, it's Buddha. Oh, I couldn't tell. I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe it's maybe it's Elvis in a Buddha costume.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Terry Riley, I want to mention your name because it was not mentioned in the opening before recording that you are the facilitator. So I
Oh,
want to let
thank you.
people know this is Terry or Teresa Riley, who does an outstanding job in providing information for us in our spiritual endeavors. Thank you.
Well, thanks, B. Thank you, guys. It's been very, very real. Thank you. And like I say, next time, if you get some chance to do some research, it'll help you. But next time we'll do a simple remote view and we'll see how it goes, and then we'll just work from there. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Terry.
Wish you all the best in 2025.
Yeah,
It's gonna
Happy New
rock.
Year.
It has to, because up to this point we haven't had too many. We've had beautiful things happen, but I would love to see things get better. So we'll hold that thought. And thank you, and namaste, everyone. Thank you.